said 200 kilowatt hour battery pack, 10,000 newton meters of torque. If you know what that means, it's just stupid.
So that 10,000 newton meters of torque is another one. That's a pretty absurd number. Not that people are buying sports cars just for the torque number, but that translates to about 7,400 pound-feet of torque, which is just ridiculous. For context, here's how that would line up with some cars you may recognize, some of the most famous, fastest cars ever made. Seems a little hard to believe they're this far out in front, right? But torque is one of those numbers and metrics that's been around for a long time, and it's a little bit different in gas cars versus electric cars. So as explained so eloquently by Donut Media, I'm gonna link their video about that below the like button. Torque is a measurement of turning force. And in this case, the force being applied by the engine is turning the wheels. So when manufacturers list the horsepower and the torque of a car, they typically list the torque right at the engine crankshaft. But by the time it gets to the wheels with parasitic losses of the drivetrain, it's a lower number. Same thing with torque, which also gets multiplied by the gear ratios in the drivetrain. But electric cars don't have all those gears. They have what's called direct drive. And so they make a lot of torque through one large gear. So after multiplication, the number is much more impressive from the wheels than from the crankshaft at the motors. So they've chosen to report wheel torque. So the 10,000 newton meter number that Elon said for the Roadster is likely perfectly legit, very real. It's not a lie. It's just this new number is a little deceiving without the context that it's a different measurement of torque from what we've gotten from every other gas car for decades. Just a little extra word there. Wheel torque. Makes a big difference. And this isn't just Tesla, by the way. This is the same thing happened with the Hummer EV, which got announced that it would have 11,500 pound-feet of torque. But as Engineering Explained also pointed this out, when you divide by the gear ratios of each of the motors, you end up at about 1,000 pound-feet of torque at the motors, the way it's normally reported.